dug this GPS up a couple days ago, and it was sitting at the bottom of my collection of stuff. This GPS is a high altitude GPS, so it's certified to work at very high altitudes, so it's really good for a high altitude balloon project. Somehow I had programmed it at one point to only output GGA sentences. So this GPS is programmable. You can change the configuration, but it is not very widely documented. It's made by a Taiwan company in Taiwan, and it's difficult to get any information about. So I bought it from Argent data systems, or I think the same GPS or a similar GPS comes from Bionics. But I just wanted to show you quickly how to program it if you need to do that. So it comes programmed, but if you do reprogram it or you need to change the output. So there's actually two output ports, you'll notice here, and these are the pins as oriented this way. It usually comes with colored wires, but these are all white, so it's a different header. You can see it's ground, volts positive, which is 3 to 5 volts. Then there's a RS-232, I don't know which one is transmit and receive, but you probably won't use these. These are the TTL inputs and outputs. So this is the GPS receiving data, which normally you don't use, and this is the GPS's transmitted data. So this outputs the NEMA sentences. You know it's the right GPS, or it's one of these GPS's, because it's got the battery or super cap or whatever it is to keep fix even when it's off. And if you open it up, you'll see a chipset that's SCL or SCI, something like that, on the chip internally. If you pull this metal casing off of here, if you unsolder it. So I was able to kind of track down how to get this thing programmed. So you can see here, these are the pin layouts. So you run these pins. You only need the TTL and the ground and power, and run it to like an FTDI board, something like that, any kind of board. This is a 5-volt board, and I soldered in the pins here to just a little header, stuck them in the FTDI board. And then over here on the computer, what I did, I actually was able to find, at this URL, I was able to find the data sheet for the program interface for this GPS. I don't really know, I googled it and found this, but if you look at this spec sheet here, you can see that this parameter set NEMA configuration. So here you can see you send 2% signs. These are ASCII characters, hex F1, hex 04, and then there's a bunch of parameter bytes. So basically, if you want to turn on all the messages with the checksum flag, you're going to want to do something like this. So you can see here, this is the %, the message type, message ID, and then you can see I turned each one of the parameters on. So you can actually tell it how often you want it to send. I wanted to send one a second, one a second, one a second. And then this one I didn't want it to send. This is the last parameter. Over here, this is an XOR checksum of the commands. So it's an XOR from everything from here to here. And if you do that and you put it into the calculator in Windows here, you can actually XOR each one of these. So I XOR'd F1 04. So you just enter F1 XOR 04 XOR 1 XOR 1. If you go down through the whole list here, eventually you'll get a result. It equals of F4, which you can see there. So I put in that, and then this is a \R\n at the end here. So this is what you want to send, and I just put, this is the normal notation, putting 0x in front of the hex values. So when you put it into real term, if you download this program, real term, it will send the right thing. So you put this all in and hit send numbers, and you can see here after I sent those numbers, now it is sending all the sentence types. So that's it. It took me a while to figure out, and I actually had to send out some emails, figure out what GPS this even was and what chipset it is. It's kind of an obscure Taiwanese manufacturer, so it's a little tricky to figure out. It's not that well documented, but this GPS will work above 40,000 feet, which is really great if you're sending up a high altitude balloon. So hopefully that saves some people some time, and if you want to reprogram one of these GPSs, you can do it this way.